Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports. With me, as always, is my co-host Ryan.
Hey.
It is our first show of the new year. We wanted to comment on why we missed our last two episodes. Obviously, the fantasy show on Wednesday and Tuesday, our recap show. Obviously, with the terrible injury slash incident that occurred on Monday Night Football between the Bills, as you can see, I've got my Bills jersey on, and the Cincinnati Bengals with Damar Hamlin going down and having to be resuscitated on the field. We felt like it was kind of a necessity for us to maybe take a step back for a couple of days, let everything like resonate, and then jump back in and you know, as Ryan puts it, and I put the show, we got a show to do, right? We got to keep going. But for starters, I want to say, obviously, our thoughts and prayers and everything go out to Damar Hamlin and his family. I'm so happy to hear that he's got the breathing tube out and he was able to communicate with his family today. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the ESPN broadcast crew who were clearly dealing with an impossible task and made the best of a terrible, terrible situation. And most of all, not most of all, but hugely also the medical staff and training staff there in Cincinnati for the Bills and Bengals, obviously both of them, who were able to very quickly realize what was going on with Damar Hamlin and adjusted and reacted quickly.
Resuscitated him, yeah,
and saved his life. Literally saved his life. So many accolades need to go out. We obviously can't touch them all, but we wanted to get that to start the episode off of our chest. So again, very happy for Damar Hamlin and his family that he's doing better. Not that it happened, that he's doing better.
And like you said, an unprecedented situation, right? So when you hear, why did it take the NFL an hour to stop the game? Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew what was going on, and there's processes that you can't just, immediately call the game quits because, it's not like Roger Goodell was on the field and he knew exactly what was going on. There's processes in place. So kudos to the NFL for taking not taking their time through the situation, but eventually coming to the right conclusion that this game should not be replayed. You should not be sending those guys back from Buffalo to Cincinnati where they will stand on that field and potentially, relive some horrible emotions that they went through. So I think that the scheduling conflicts that come with it are secondary. I think that this is the right move, regardless of what happens with the 1 seed and all that. You can debate what if all you want, but ultimately the NFL got this one right. So good for the NFL coming to the right conclusion here, stopping that game, not rescheduling it whatsoever. So I think that that's a good start for them. It's a good look for them.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, and I totally agree. So having said that, as I already pointed out, the show's got to go on, right? So let's get into our recap show. Obviously, Timmy's not here, so we'll have his stuff put on the document. We got some family stuff that he's dealing with in New Jersey. My thoughts go out to my sister, Danelle. She recently lost one of her very close friends. Obviously, I'm thinking about you. I miss you, and I wish you the best.
Me too.
Time to do a recap show.
Me too. Yeah. Let's shed some light, a positive light in the NFL world, in the sports world. Let's talk some predictions, this is the hardest week for predictions because we don't know who's playing their starters. Like, we have an idea, but we don't really know for sure. We don't know how long the starters are going to play for each team. So these predictions, Tim could potentially gain some ground here because he needs to. So
yes, he does.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
So after some huge mathematical errors on my part and having to go back and Ryan catching me messing up, the records are as stand and they are 100% accurate. My Twitter and Facebook posts earlier were incorrect. However, Tim is sitting at 154, 108, and 2. Ryan is at 160, 102, and 2. And I'm sitting at 171, 89, and 2. But like Ryan said, this week is going to be tough because we don't know who's playing for all those contenders or non-contenders or people who have already locked it up. So let's get into it, right? First game tomorrow, 425, Chiefs 3-3 visiting the Raiders 6-10. 52.5 is still the over-under in that game. Chiefs are favored by 9. Ryan, you get the first pick, buddy.
Thank God I get the first pick. This is the easiest one. The Chiefs, they obviously have something to play for, and they are clearly the better team here. I'm going Chiefs here by a mile. Jarrett Stidham blew everybody's mind except for maybe Jarrett Stidham's last week, right? Like, he had one of the most fantastic games. I was telling people all week, During fantasy, I'm fading Raiders. The only one that I would have started was Devontae Adams, and I would have tempered my expectations to that wide receiver 2 range. But man, Jarrett Stidham came out and balled against a very good defense in San Francisco too.
Best in
This
the
was
league.
not a pushover defense, right? However, I do not expect that same performance. I do expect the Chiefs to handle business. I expect them to secure the win in their final game of the season. I expect them to finish 14-3. I do think that they clear that 9 points, and I do think that it goes over. I do think that this is going to be a bit of a shootout. I think that the Raiders might be on to something here, putting up 34 points, forcing the game to overtime against a much better defense than what the Chiefs have.
Yeah, I would agree with that, except I think the Chiefs pull away a little bit better than the San Francisco 49ers offense did, so I'm right there with you. I got the Chiefs definitely going over the 52.5 points and the Chiefs to cover the 9-point spread. I expect this to be a 13 to 17-point victory for the Chiefs. And if it's that close, it'll be because of what I call a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game where Stidham is still trying to, become the starter for the Raiders next year and not let Tom Brady kick in his door. So he's going to want and need to come out and perform really well.
You also think Brady did the Raiders? I think
it's just one of those rumors.
Yeah, it's swirling heavy, man. I mean, heavy. I think it has something to do with what that beat writer reported the other day. So, but yeah, it's interesting. It could be a landing spot. Tim and I are doing our quarterback show next Wednesday. So
you can talk about it. Sounds great.
Yeah.
The better of the two games tomorrow, in my opinion, and I assume your opinion, the Titans at 7-9 facing off against the Jaguars at 8-8. 40 is the over-under. Jacksonville is favored by 6.5 points. David Blough, I believe, is the starting quarterback for the Titans.
Is it? No, I thought David Blough was starting for. I'm pretty sure it's Dobbs.
Cardinals.
Yeah, David Blough starting for the Cardinals. This is Josh Dobbs.
Okay, so Josh Dobbs gets the start for the Titans. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill's hurt. They have given up on Malik Willis. Probably a good idea. However, King Henry, Derrick Henry is coming back, so the game might be closer than some think. I still think the Jags win by 7. So I'm going Jaguar. There's just too much to overcome for Tennessee right now. So I'm going Jaguars, and I'm going to take the over 40 because I think it's like a 24-21 type game, 24-17. And I think the Jags cover the 6.5 point spread. I saw a report earlier today that Rodgers, you can talk about this on your quarterback show next week, might be intelligent to try and go to the Titans next season. But again, conversation for another day.
That I'm not buying that. He's not going to a team like Titans. I'm also taking the Jags. I think that this has a lot. I think this is more simple. Like the Jags are trending that way and the Titans are trending that way. Like these are two teams. I mean, think about the Titans had this division well under wraps, week 10, week 11. And they just, ever since Ryan Tannehill got hurt and Malik Willis became a full-time starter, it's just gone downhill. And like you said perfectly, Bill, they gave up on Malik Willis already. And I think that his chance to be a starter in Tennessee is out the window. He's a third-round pick, so it's not like they expended great draft capital on him in terms of where, great draft capital is for quarterbacks. So I think that he's just a multi-year project. I've said it numerous times. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't think that he has the skill set. And if they want to win the division, turn it around, get out of this landslide, Joshua Dobbs does give them a better chance to win this football game. However, I don't think that they do. I do think that the Jags come in here. I think that the Chiefs-Raiders has a potential to be a better game than this game. I do. There's
just more playoff implications on this one.
Even with King Henry on the field, I just don't trust the Titans offensively just yet. And the Jags have just looked so much better as a football team. Maybe not on the defensive side of the football, but Trevor Lawrence has grown exponentially throughout the season with the help of Doug Peterson. Evan Ingram's becoming a top tight end in the NFL. Giants fans and even Eagles fans, we used to mock him for all his drops all the time. And look at him. He's balling out this year. So I do think the Jags kind of open this game up. I could potentially see a double-digit point victory here, and I do think that they clear the over-under myself. So I'm taking the Jags here comfortably.
Perfect. 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Kick off with the you know what? I'm failing hardcore on this.
Dude, I just clicked on the banners. I was like, Bill ain't been putting them up, has he?
That's my bad. First one sitting here right meow. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to the Atlanta Falcons. Tom Brady is going to play for some of this game. I doubt it's very long.
He has
Um,
71, or he needs 9 completions on and 12 attempts to break the NFL single season record for both of those stats. And I think he needs 71 yards for something. So
he won't be playing the whole game. Maybe the first quarter. They'll probably just air it out in the first quarter and be done with it.
he's going to throw the football 12 times, complete 9 short passes, and then come out of this football game. And
Yeah.
Vegas would tell you otherwise, or tell you,
Yeah.
the same thing with the Falcons being the favorite.
And it's 40 is the over-under. Falcons are favored by 4. Your pick.
I'm pick the Falcons. I think that they have more to play for. So I think that the Falcons just are going to win this game. Like I said, Tampa could not play their starters at all. Their playoff positioning is locked in at the number 4 seed in the NFC. And I think the Falcons, you've got dudes playing for jobs. You've got Tyler Algier still playing for his job, and he's close to 1,000 yards rushing. You've got Desmond Ridder playing for a job. You've got Drake London trying to build off of a good rookie season. And you've got Arthur Smith coaching for a job potentially too. So I do think that the Falcons have more to play for in this game. Therefore, I think that they win simply for that.
Over or cover?
I'm going to say under, and I do think that they cover.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Falcons for all the stuff that you just said. Tom Brady might be starting, but I don't think any other starter on that offense and most of the ones on the defense are not going to be playing. They're not going to risk an injury, especially with either Philly or Dallas coming to them next week. There's no shot at them risking an additional injury for nothing. So I think the Falcons do come out on top. However, I still think it's in the 20s, the game, like 20s for each team. So I think they go over. And I'd say the Falcons by 3, so they do not cover. It's just, look, the Falcons have been ugly at times, but they've shown some promise, and I think they're going to continue to show some promise against second stringers and put together a pretty decent performance.
Yeah.
Another game with playoff implications. That's what I wanted to pull up, and I forgot to do it. I'm going to pull it up.
The playoff scenarios?
The playoff scenario, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this next game,
Trask, the backup in Tampa. I think it's Blaine Gabbert.
I know Trask is on the roster, but he was injured for most of the season.
I think Gabbert's the backup, and Trask is the third stringer.
All right, let's see here. I want to make sure that before I say something, it's accurate.
I think Blaine Gabbert's the backup. But yeah, as far as playoff implications go, Bill has all that information. He's bringing that up now.
I am right now, yes. Okay, so right now in the playoff race, sitting here where we sit. All right, so clinched spots in the AFC. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Chargers, Ravens, and Patriots. Oh, no, wait, no. Patriots have not made it.
Patriots got to win.
Patriots got to win. Dolphins, doesn't matter what the Dolphins do. Patriots got to win. Okay, so another game with playoff implications. I apologize for not having that up earlier. Is this one here. The Patriots at 8-8 are visiting the Bills, 12-3. The Bills coming off a very, very emotional situation. 42.5 is the over-under. Buffalo is still favored by 7 points because they have a reason to play. They want the 1 seed. It's going to go by winning percentage. They want the 1 seed.
Did you see the like formula that the NFL's coming up with, like the coin toss, if it's the Chiefs and the Bills, and there's some to this.
It really shouldn't be, because honestly, the Bills beat the Chiefs earlier in the year. If the Bills have a 13-3 record, the Chiefs have a 14-3 record. Honestly, I think it should just go to the Bills.
Yeah, but at that point, I mean, you're screwing the Bengals really too. I think the best way to handle this situation would be almost assuming both teams win last week, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
because if the Chiefs win right this week, and you assume that the Bills would have won last week, then the Bills would get it. If the Chiefs lose this week and you assume the Bengals get it, I don't know. I don't know how to handle this situation, and neither does the NFL clearly. I don't think there's any right solution. I think there's a best solution. I do like the neutral site idea for KC Buffalo, if that's the AFC Championship game, or even Cincinnati if Kansas City loses this week. Something like that, but I don't know. There's just too many moving parts with it right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I like the neutral site situation. For those of you who haven't heard yet, it's a very complicated algorithm of if the Bills and Chiefs play in the AFC Championship game, it will be played at SoFi Field. If the Bengals and Chiefs play in the AFC Championship game, it'll be at SoFi. However, if the Bills and Bengals play in the AFC Championship game, it'll be in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Assuming both teams win this week.
Yes. Again, very complicated situation for the NFL. Unprecedented was the word that's been thrown around, and it's 100% accurate. Unprecedented is definitely the best word for it because nobody knows what to do. But they're making the best of a bad situation. But again, Patriots 8-8, Bills 12-3, 42.5 is the over/under. Buffalo is favored by 7 points. I'm going Bills on this one. I don't think that's going to surprise too many people. I'm sitting here with a Josh Allen jersey on. I do think the teams get to the over. Again, I know it was an emotional week last week and they had to come in and get refocused. The Bills are going to be firing on every possible cylinder with the good news about Damar Hamlin. And I think they're going to come out and make a really big statement about why they still believe they're the 1 seed in the AFC. So I got Buffalo, I got the over, and I got them to cover.
Yeah, I don't doubt that this will be an emotional game for Buffalo, and I do think that they win as well, seeing as they're one of the teams that has something to play for. However, I don't think that they cover. I think that the Patriots give them all that they can handle. This is a team that is also, you can argue, playing for more than the Bills are because at least the Bills are in the playoffs no matter what happens, whereas the Pats have to win this game. However, I don't think that happens. So give me the Bills by like 3 to 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't think it goes over either. I think it's a pretty low-scoring game. I don't know what the weather is supposed to be like in Buffalo. I guess it wouldn't really affect these teams, both these teams playing cold weather environments.
Yeah. I don't know what the weather is. If you want to bring up that comment from Allie.
Yes.
She points out something very important. Obviously, it's going to be an emotional game in Buffalo with number 3 spray painted in blue and red on the field and number 3 patches on all the Bills players' uniforms. Can't wait to see them turn all those horrible emotions they've experienced over the last few days into motivation to play their very best for their brother Damar. I hope he is well enough to watch some of it from the ICU. Again, I don't know, for those of you who haven't heard, Damar no longer has the breathing tube in. He was able to communicate with his teammates and his family and doctors and everything today. So he's on the very positive end, and again, I've said it before, I'll say it 20 more times the rest of the show. We're hoping for the best for Damar Hamlin. Vikings at 12-4, Bears at 3-13. Vikings still technically have a shot. Oh, no, they don't, because they lost last week. Scratch that.
They have a shot at the 2 seed, I think. I mean, if they win and San Francisco loses, however, I don't know how much that matters to them.
That's a good point. So 12-4 Vikings, Bears 3-13. 43 is the over/under. Minnesota is favored by 7.5. So Vegas thinks they're playing their starters.
Dropped to 5.5 now.
I put these in at 2:00 today.
I put these in at 5-10 minutes before the show. Probably gets into the fact that there's a swirling rumor Kirk Cousins isn't going to play the whole game.
Copy that. All right, so Vikings are favored by 5.5. My apologies. Ryan.
I'm still taking the Vikings. Justin Fields isn't playing this game for the Bears. His season's obviously over. They put him on IR with a hip injury. I think that's more so just to protect their assets. The Bears might be, the first team in a while with the number 1 overall pick that doesn't need a quarterback. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. But yeah, I'm taking the Vikings, regardless of how long their starters play. That 5.5 point spread coming down from 7 tells me that I should probably take the Vikings to not cover, so I will. I do think that they win a closer game, and I think it's going to be under. Just because I do predict at some point the Vikings bring in their backups. I think that they get their starters in there, keep them tuned through the first quarter or something like that, and then call it a day from there. I don't know how much that 2 to 3 seed matters to them with the swirling rumors already that Kirk Cousins is, potentially going to be limited in his snaps.
I would agree with that. I'm just going to copy and paste your answer, especially with not knowing what the Vikings are doing and Justin Fields not being on the field. I don't think the game is very high scoring. And I think the Vikings win by 3 points. So that's where I'm sitting on. I'm going to sit tight on that. So we have Vikings under and not to cover.
Real quick, guys, if you're watching on Twitter, go ahead, hit that retweet, hit that like. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead, hit the reaction button, hit a share. If you're on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's all free support, guys, and we appreciate you guys tuning in for the show. And if you're on Spotify, add us to your playlist and Apple Podcasts. We don't discriminate.
Listen, the Vikings had a real golden opportunity with the Eagles losing last week to really assert their dominance in the NFC, and they get blown out in Lambeau, which isn't something we predicted. I just said the Packers were going to win, but they really dropped the ball on that one.
The Packers are another one of those teams trending up.
Yeah, that is correct. Christian Watson is scheduled to play. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I also have a few comments about that Packers-Lions game being flexed to the Sunday night spot. Bengals 10-6 visiting the Ravens 10-6 visiting the Bengals 11-4. Bengals the other half of that very emotional night on Monday Night Football. 39.5 is the over/under. Cincinnati is favored by 9 points. It changed from 2:00 when I put these in.
What was it when you put it in at 2?
8.5. So Bengals are playing their starters.
Half points. I mean, they still have something to play for too. I think mine.
It's mine. I'm sorry. So listen, give me the Bengals here. They're the home team. They've been trending up as well. I know maybe would have looked a little different if they had played the full game against Buffalo the other night. We don't know how that would have turned out. Buffalo was losing there with 5 minutes, 55 seconds left in the first quarter, 7-3. And the Bengals obviously had the football. But we don't know how that was going to turn out. Bengals are another team that are trending up. They started this season 0-2, and now they're sitting at 11-4. So you're talking they're 11-2 in their last 13 games. That's a really good thing to be. So yeah, give me the Bengals. I also think the Bengals score enough points to go over almost by themselves here. The Ravens' offense has been relatively abysmal with the lack of Lamar Jackson. Looks like Tyler Huntley's playing again.
That's not confirmed. He was limited all week with a shoulder injury.
Oh, well, there you go. Actually, now with that information, I'll go under, not over. And I don't think Cincinnati covers that 9-point spread.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like Anthony Brown might play. They did call him up from the practice squad again. Lamar Jackson being ruled out. That's an interesting situation, too. Lamar Jackson may have just suited up or may have already suited up his final regular season game as a Baltimore Raven. We will see if he comes back for the playoffs. And if he doesn't, I think that's going to, that's going to be huge, not just for the on the field in the playoff game. I think that's going to be huge that like Lamar Jackson's checked out. He's done. He's not going to be Raven anymore. As far as this game goes, I am picking the Bengals. I do think that they cover. And I think that the game goes over. I think that the Bengals, they seemed a little upset and a little perturbed about the playoff scenarios and how they were potentially unfolding. They when stuff like this happens, there's always going to be somebody that draws the short straw, and the Bengals seem to have done that. So I think that there's a little bit of emotion tied to that too. I think they come out and make a statement here. So Logan Stone has checked in.
I was reading
Thanks
that.
for checking in, Logan. If the last 2 weeks don't prove that Jalen Hurts is the MVP, I don't know what does. And this comes from someone who doesn't care about the Cowboys or the St. Louis Cardinals. He's a Phillies fan, by the way, guys. He is a converted Phillies fan. We have converted him over to Philliesism, which is a religion where we breed all things Philadelphia Phillies. So,
but you said Bengals under
Bengals
and
cover over.
Over. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. One of these slop games, you get to pick it. Texans 2-13-1. Colts 4-11-1. 38 is the over/under. Indianapolis is favored by 2.5 points. I think they're going back to Matt Ryan for the last game of the season. Can we confirm that? No, we don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. Either way, listen, if the Texans win and the Bears lose, the Bears get the first pick in the draft.
And that leads me to say, I got my Harrison jersey on, so I'm picking the Colts. They have more to play for than the Texans do. Texans, I'm not saying that they're tanking because they have played some teams tough. They've been competitive, relatively speaking, competitive down the stretch in correlation with what their record says they are. But, Jeff Saturday is playing for a job here. Whichever quarterback is starting for the Colts this week is potentially playing for a backup job, most likely, not a starting job. But I just think that there's more to play for on the Indianapolis side. That and they're the home team. So I'm going with Indianapolis. I do think that they win by 3. I don't think that this game goes over. I didn't even hear what the over-under was, but just looking at these teams, I'm picking the under. I'm surprised it's that high.
It's 38, but yeah, I'm also surprised it's that high. Listen, the Texans are kind of banged.
A better number.
Yeah, the Texans are kind of banged up right now too. You're talking Dameon Pierce's been out for the last few weeks. I don't think Stingley's playing this week.
No.
Yeah, so the Bengals or the Texans are kind of banged up here too. So I'm also going to go with the Colts, and I'm also going to go with under. And I mean, usually you win games by 3 points, right? So I'll give them the cover, but it's going to be one of them ugly games, you know. It's also, just bad. Moving on. The Jets, who were eliminated from playoff contention last week at 7-9, are visiting the Dolphins at 8-8. 38.5 is the over-under. Miami is favored by 2 points. Tua Tagovailoa is not playing, and I saw a report the other day that came out that said he may never play again. The concussions he suffered this season apparently were so severe that he may not play again. And if that's what he needs to do for his health, I hope that's what he does.
Well,
and I mean
Teddy Bridgewater's not playing either. Skylar Thompson is starting for the Dolphins. And with the news that Skylar Thompson was starting, you said that the spread was 2. It's gone up. They're now 3-point favorites.
Miami is 3-point favorites. All right.
The Jets, on the other hand, have a much more interesting quarterback situation. So the Jets came out yesterday and said that they're hell or high water standing with Zach Wilson, and they have no intentions of trading him in the offseason, yet he's not starting this game.
Joe Flacco is.
Yes. Even though they're, as you said, eliminated from playoff contention, Zach Wilson will not be suiting up for this game.
Yeah, so I'm going Dolphins. Skylar Thompson in his only start this season didn't look terrible. He turned the ball over twice, but one of them literally bounced off Tyreek Hill's hands. So he didn't look terrible, and he's mobile enough to create a little bit of space. The Jets defense is pretty good. I just don't see the effort that would be required from the Jets to beat the Dolphins this week. So give me the Dolphins. I don't think it goes over 38.5, so under. And yeah, I think they win by 3 points exactly. So technically, no, they will not cover a 3-point spread.
I'm going with the Jets here. I think that, the team plays better as a whole when Zach Wilson is not the quarterback and Zach Wilson's not the quarterback. I think they went 3-1 earlier in the year with Joe Flacco at quarterback. They played pretty well. I think that they're a better defense. I think they're going to terrorize Skylar Thompson. And I think that they're going to, send a little message to their division rival. Hey, we're not letting you get in the playoffs because Dolphins have to win. So I think I'm taking the Jets here. Obviously, I think they cover. And I think it goes over. I think the Jets put up some points on the Dolphins.
I like that take. I really do. Listen, I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. You're talking if the Dolphins are eliminated just by losing. I mean, the Patriots, they play at the same time, so the Patriots are going to hold their own fate in their hand, right? But if the Patriots lose and the Dolphins lose, the Patriots are still in. So I'm here for it. Let's see. The Carolina Panthers at 6-10, visiting the New Orleans Saints at 7-9. 42 is the over/under. New Orleans is favored by 3.5. That New Orleans defense has looked really, really good lately. Ryan,
I'll take the Saints here. I'm not terribly comfortable about that pick. Andy Dalton has played pretty well down the stretch. I think he's earned himself a backup gig. Go be the veteran backup to a younger quarterback somewhere. I just think that the Saints are the all-around better team ever so slightly. I don't even think that they cover the 3.5-point spread. That's how ever so slightly I think that's better that they are than the Panthers. So I'm taking the Saints not to cover. I do see it going over though. I like I just like the chances that it goes over that over-under.
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints too, more because they're the home team and because that defense is, like I said, the last 6 weeks of the season, they've been really good since they got healthy. I know that some of the games were, circumstantial. Last week they played Gardner Minshew, not Jalen Hurts, stuff like that. But other than that, they're doing their part when they're on the field, and that's what really matters. I also don't think they cover the 3.5-point spread. I think they win by 3. But I'm going to stay with the under on this one. I know that both offenses have started to show a little bit of life here, but for me, they're not going to get to 42 points, so they're going to stay under it. The Cleveland Browns eliminated from playoff contention last week, 7-9, visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are technically still in the
Still in it.
running.
Mike Tomlin deserves maybe a little bit of head coaching of the year.
He should be in the conversation for what he did. 2-6 at one point. These Steelers were 2-6.
Dude's a winner. Like he really is.
Never had a losing season.
Not yet.
I mean, yeah. Could happen this week. It's a division rival. You never know, right? Steelers at 8-8, 40.5 is the over-under. Steelers are favored by 2.5 points. Hey, listen, Kenny Pickett started off his NFL career kind of bad, turning the ball over a lot. He's really reined that in. I'm going Steelers on this game, man. I keep doing that. I keep trying to share a screen. But yeah, I'm going Steelers here. Najee Harris has quietly started to reemerge as a good running back. He's almost up over 1,000 yards on the season. He's sitting at 964. He's getting those goal line touches that he needs. He's got 7 touchdowns on the season. And they've all come in the last few weeks. He's really just like kicked it up a notch, and that has helped Kenny Pickett be better in the pocket. They're utilizing George Pickens, so much better. And Pat Freiermuth is a great little check down outlet for Kenny Pickett. Yeah, give me the Steelers here. They're just playing better football than the Browns are. I think they win by 3, so they cover, and I think it goes over to 40.5 points.
Yeah, and news out of Browns camp today, Jadeveon Clowney was sent home today from practice. It doesn't sound like he's going to play. I don't think he's traveling to Pittsburgh with the team. That was due to some comments he made about the team, saying that they were basically holding him back and that they were favoring Myles Garrett. He then went on to say he has no ill will toward Myles Garrett himself. He just has ill will about how the team's handling the 2 defensive ends. So that's interesting for what it's worth. However, I don't think that it would have affected the outcome. Jadeveon Clowney only has 2 sacks on the season. So I'm taking the Steelers here. I'm taking them to cover for a lot of the things you said. I think Kenny Pickett went like 7 straight games without a turnover or something. And a lot of that can be attributed to great coaching. I mean, that's what Mike Tomlin is. He's a great coach. I still think the Steelers maybe need to move on at the end of the year. However, that is not looking as obvious as it was when I was saying it like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think they're a better football team. I think that they're playing better football. I think that, they have something to play for, and that matters. So,
yeah, Patriots lose, Dolphins lose, Steelers win, Steelers are in. It could happen. That scenario is very much up in the air right now because the Patriots again are playing the Bills, Dolphins are playing the Jets.
My brother-in-law just checked in. He just liked this stream, and he's a Browns fan, so he just checked in to hear us, say the Steelers are going to beat the Browns.
Next one I have on the document is the New York Giants, 9-6-1, resting their starters, visiting the Philadelphia Eagles, 13-3, playing for the 1 seed, so they're going to be playing football. 43 is the over-under. Philadelphia is favored by 14 points. Ryan, you get to go first.
The spread has actually increased. It went from 2.5 at the opening line to 13 to now 14. I'm surprised the Giants are resting their starters, given the controversy 2 years ago where Doug Peterson decided to pull Jalen Hurts late in the 4th quarter of a game against the Commanders, where the Commanders ultimately ended up winning the division. Personally, if you ask me, Jalen Hurts was playing like shit that game, and the Eagles weren't going to win with him. And it was already discussed from the ownership level that Jalen Hurts wasn't going to play that whole game anyway. And then when the Eagles traded with the Cowboys to snipe the Giants of Devontae Smith. So I'm surprised that the Giants aren't, seeking a little bit of a revenge. But at the same time, I think that they're making the right move by sitting their starters. They are locked into the 6th seed. They cannot change, even if they win, even if they lose. No sense in risking Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, guys like that out there. That being said, I think the Eagles win with or without Jalen Hurts. I know I've said that the last couple of weeks. However, the play calling last week and Gardner Minshew were not up to par. So regardless of what happens, I think that the Eagles win. I don't think that they cover 14 points. That's an ungodly spread. And I think if the Eagles get up big enough anyway, the starters come out. So, that's where I'm at with that. Eagles, but they don't cover.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Jalen Hurts or not, I believe the Eagles win this football game. But if Jalen Hurts does play, hypothetically, they go into the half and they're up 28-7, 28-3, 28-10, which is something that could happen against the Giants backups. I don't think the starters come out of halftime with their with their shoulder pads on. I think they're done, and we'll see all those backups get an opportunity to play. Um, but yeah, so I'm right there with you. I still think the game goes over 43 points. I don't know why. I just have this sinking feeling that it's going to be a high scoring game, even if only on one side. So give me the Eagles being victorious, going on to 14-3, tied with the best record with the Chiefs, in my opinion, in there, and to not cover the 14-point spread. Yeah. Go Birds. Chargers 10-6, visiting the Broncos 4-12. The Chargers are locked in. Oh, not technically. Never mind. I was going to say Chargers are locked in at the 5 spot, but they're not. The Ravens could overtake them if they win and the Chargers lose. So the Chargers are playing football. They're here to play. They got to get a win. They want the 5 spot, right? They want to be the team that's going to play either Jacksonville or Tennessee. It's pretty cut and dry, right? So give me the Chargers here. Look, the Broncos are 4-12. Over unders 40. Denver, for some reason, is favored by 2.5 points. Denver's not good right now. And I saw it on, I guess it was TikTok. Somebody mentioned it, but like when you hire a head coach under the expectation that you're getting Aaron Rodgers and you get Russell Wilson, it kind of changes how you need to be coaching. And he didn't adjust anything, and proof is in the pudding, right? So give me the Chargers here. So obviously I think there's a covering situation in that scenario. And I think it goes over 40 points.
This is one of those games that I'm really going to hate picking right now, because if Baltimore loses, the Chargers have nothing to play for, so the starters won't be out there very long, if at all. Unfortunately, we won't know that. So I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Baltimore loses, and I'm picking the Broncos here. I'm siding with Vegas here. I do think while the Broncos are a backup level caliber team, I think that they're the higher end of backup caliber players. So I do think that they can beat the Chargers backups. That's where I stand with that. And I think that the Chargers will have no reason to play their starters, at least through the full game or a majority of the game by the time kickoff rolls around. So I just don't have any faith that the Chargers – I don't think that the Chargers will really play. Meanwhile, the Broncos players are playing for jobs because you have a coach that's going to need to change. Russell Wilson's probably going to want to end the year on a better note. And when you do the inevitable coaching change that's going to happen with the Broncos in the offseason, first thing you're going to start doing is cutting out the dead weight. So they're going to be looking for players to get rid of, and people are going to be playing for jobs here. So I'm taking the Broncos.
Okay. You think they win by 3?
I think it's I think they cover the 3 points.
Copy that.
For those of you that don't know, we have made an agreement amongst ourselves that we cannot change our bets, on Sunday due to certain circumstances. So we kind of have to use a little bit of foresight to see what's going to happen.
Also, Tim, you said you were going to send us your picks, and I do not have them.
He just needs to have them in by tomorrow.
I know. Next game is the Arizona Cardinals playing David Blow at quarterback, visiting the San Francisco 49ers, who are 14.5-point favorites. Man, those games.
One of these teams is something to play for, and the other team is, junior varsity. So
40.5 is the over-under. Who you got?
I think I'm going to pick the Niners. I don't see an upset in the future here. Niners have something to play for. They could potentially snag the 1 seed if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are starting David Blow at quarterback. That's all the analysis that you need on this game.
Over 40.5?
Yes, the 49ers do score over 40.5 points. That was a joke. I you know what? I do think that they cover the 14.5. Call me stupid. I think the Cardinals are that bad. I think they're checked out. I hear you. Kingsbury is walking. Cardinals are terrible.
Cardinals are absolutely terrible. Brock Purdy is playing really well for a quote-unquote Mr. Irrelevant. He's pretty relevant now, isn't he? If the Philadelphia Eagles lose to the Giants tomorrow and San Francisco 49ers win, the Niners are the 1 seed. So the Niners absolutely have something to play for. They're playing for that bye week. So Yeah, I mean, sitting here, right here, right now, I don't think anybody should go against the San Francisco 49ers. And I also think it goes over the 40.5 points, and I also think that they cover. I think they win by 17. I'm not. I
Our
know.
last recap show, I said, and you agreed with the Eagles' injuries that they have in key spots. The 49ers are probably the favorite in the NFC. Like the Eagles might slip out with the 1 seed here, but until Lane Johnson comes back, until CJ Gardner-Johnson comes back, who might play this week, until Avonte Maddox comes back, if he comes back, I like the 49ers better than the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm right there with you. In 2017, the Eagles suffered one big injury, but the rest of the team was really, really healthy. And, I mean, two, if you can include Brandon Graham in that. So my apologies. I know Graham came a year later, so this particular season was Darren Sproles who was out. But this year it's a little different because Hurts is going to be playing. However, you're missing your Hall of Fame All-Pro right tackle. You're missing the best slot corner in football, and you're missing a damn good safety in CJ Gardner-Johnson. Now, listen, Reed Blankenship has played really well. He's just not as good right now as CJ Gardner-Johnson.
No shot. Not even a little bit.
Los Angeles Rams at 5-11, visiting the Seahawks at 8-8. 41.5 is the over/under. Seattle is favored by 6.5 points. Seattle is still technically in the hunt. I mean, well, right now they are the 7th seed, but they're in the hunt.
Yeah, that we'll get into it in a second, but that's why I'm a little curious about the way that the NFL scheduled these games.
We're gonna actually, you know what? Let's just get into it before we even do our predictions about the Seahawks game. I'm a little curious that they flexed the Packers-Lions game to 8 o'clock. Is that just like an assumption that the Seahawks are going to lose? Because if the Seahawks win, they're in.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like if the Seahawks win, they're in, and the Lions have no reason to play other than to try and keep the Packers out of it.
The Packers, it doesn't matter. If the Seahawks win, the Packers don't make it in either.
You know what?
Yeah, the Seahawks right now are the 7th seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Lions-Packers game could mean absolutely nothing. They should have played that game earlier and then let the Seahawks have the primetime game. I understand why you flex Aaron Rodgers and the Packers against the playoff hunt to Sunday Night Football, but now all you've done is create a situation of where the Seahawks win, the Packers and Lions both don't have a reason to play that game.
Yeah. What's the Seahawks record? They're 8-8 as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that's my point. So
because for some reason, I was under the impression if the Packers won, they were in, but that can't be right.
No. Did the Packers play or beat the Seahawks this season? Can you check that real quick?
I'm sitting here. I think that the Packers win, they're in. I don't know what their conference records are. That'd be the second tiebreaker. The third tiebreaker is common opponents.
That's really weird considering the Packers are sitting here at technically the 9th seed. The Lions are the 8th seed. Seahawks are the 7th seed. It's weird that if the Packers win, they're in.
I think I'm not 100% certain on that, so don't quote me. But I think if the Packers win, they're in because of common opponents. Both the Seahawks and the Packers would be 9-8. However, the Packers beating the Lions, who beat the Seahawks, I think would get them into the playoffs.
I don't like that, but okay. I don't like that the NFL did that.
I don't know either. I don't agree with the whole thing anyway, because if the Seahawks do win, that automatically disqualifies the Lions. If you're going to put a game on Sunday night, you should have taken the Saturday night game where it affected no other teams, right? The Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, and flex that to Sunday night. That game would have
the
no
Packers and Lions
for anybody else other than those two, and then put the Packers Lions Saturday.
100% agree with you. That's how the NFL should have handled that. But anyway, the game we're on, 41.5 is the over/under. Seattle is favored by 6.5 points. It's my turn. I think Seattle wins. I've done that like 10 times now. So I think Seattle comes to play. I think Seattle gets the win. Look, I know Baker Mayfield has been playing pretty decent, and the Rams could upset the Seahawks. And if that does happen, then that Lions-Packers game is so much more significant.
You already know the NFL flex that game into Sunday night, knowing they're about to fix this game.
And that's my point. I didn't want to come out and openly say, you know what, because of that, I'm going to take the Rams.
I almost thought about saying that too. I do think the Seahawks win this game, though.
I'm taking the Rams. I think it goes over 41.5 points. And obviously, if I'm taking the Rams, I don't think Seattle covers the 6.5 point spread. Like you said with everybody else, like people on the Rams right now are playing for jobs. Most specifically, Baker Mayfield. He's looking for a starting job. Baker Mayfield's going to come out and
That's
sling
pretty
it.
good
See, I
football
know I
team.
was, I know I was going to come out and take the Seahawks, but the fact that I can make such a compelling argument the opposite way so easily shows how torn that the NFL is making people believe that this game is. Listen, in week 11 or 12, we had a conversation very specific. Are the Buccaneers, is it time to panic if you're the Buccaneers and Packers fans? And we said yes on both of them. And now, why am I not surprised that all of a sudden both of those quarterbacks for those teams, Hall of Famers, bigger names for the last 10 years, decided to, put it together and find a way to make it into the playoffs? I'm not saying for sure every single game in the NFL is rigged, but I'm starting to believe that scenarios are absolutely rigged. You can't tell me how bad those teams looked earlier in the season that all of a sudden they're both playoff teams without some help. You just can't. I'm sorry. And I firmly believe it. There are situations in the NFL that are absolutely rigged. And because of that, the Rams are going to win this game.
I disagree with your sentiment there. However, I did say that specifically because I knew it would fire you up. I'm taking the Seahawks here. Rams are playing for jobs. They are a team playing for jobs, especially for how bad they looked. It does sound like Stafford's going to come back next year. Kupp will come back next year healthy. Sounds like Donald will come back next year healthy. However, you hit the nail right on the head. Baker Mayfield's playing for a job. It's a pretty good game. You're a pretty good defense to have a good game against. So, however, I am taking the Seahawks. I think they have more to play for. They have to win to see the playoffs. And if they see the playoffs, Pete Carroll's going to try his damnedest. So give me the Seahawks here. I do think that they cover. I think they win by a touchdown. And I think it goes over. I think we're seeing a shootout here.
You said Seahawks to cover the 6.5 point spread?
Oh, yeah, it dropped down to 6, but yeah.
Okay. Game that could have meant something had the Commanders won last week. You have the Dallas Cowboys.
We can be eliminated?
Yeah, go ahead. Fire off with that real quick. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, so for those of you that didn't understand that little reference there, Ron Rivera in his post-game presser, they played at 1 o'clock. And the Packers kicked off at 4:05 last week. Ron Rivera was asked, what are the chances that we see Sam Howell this week with the potential that they could be eliminated? And his response was, we can be eliminated? Ron Rivera, the head coach of the Washington Commanders, had absolutely no idea that his team could be eliminated from the playoffs with a loss. And that, to me, is shocking. Now we are seeing Sam Howell this week for the first time, so that's good for them. However, I'm taking the Cowboys here. I think that it's comfortable. I think it's by more than 7 points. I think Cowboys are playing some pretty good football right now. And Sam Howell's a rookie. Their head coach didn't even know that they were eliminated from playoff contention. That says everything that I need to know about this game. So I'm taking the Cowboys here.
I'm also going the Cowboys. They're playing at the same time as the Eagles, which is intelligent because had the Eagles come out and won earlier in the day, the Cowboys had no reason to play Dak Prescott. Cowboys had no reason to play Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott or CeeDee Lamb or any of those guys and risk any kind of injuries, especially to their offensive line, which is already kind of banged up a little bit.
They got this one right.
Yes. So the Cowboys are going to come out, and I think the Cowboys are going to put a pretty dominating victory over the Commanders here in this game. I know the Commanders' defense has been good, but we're getting on the end of the season. They've been on the field a lot this year. And that Cowboys offense, I mean, even with the inefficiencies of Dak Prescott, that running attack is really, really solid. And they've got a great wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb. And since they signed T.Y. Hilton, CeeDee seems to have gotten more targets because T.Y. Hilton does what we keep saying the Eagles should do with Quez Watkins, and he just runs down the field. He pulls a safety. It's not a complicated design. Shane Steichen, talking to you. But yeah, so, give me the Cowboys here. I think it goes over 41 points, and I do think they cover the 7 point spread. I don't think this is a close game at all. I think it's going to be essentially just a beatdown. Now, things could change. Listen, like I said, the Eagles game could go into halftime where the Eagles are blowing the Giants out, and the Cowboys decide to do the same thing the Eagles do. And just rest their starters for the second half of the game. And maybe it gets closer in some level. I just don't see it. Oh, I done messed something up there. What'd I do? Oh, I hit the edit button. That's my bad. Last game, the game we were just talking about, got flexed to Sunday Night Football, which could absolutely affect how this game goes if the Seahawks win. Lions at 8-8, Packers at 8-8. 49 is the over-under. Green Bay is favored by 4.5 points. Because I've already told you the NFL is rigged, I'm going Packers here. No, I'm going to stick with what I said before. Listen, I don't care that it's in Lambeau. I don't care that it's Aaron Rodgers. The Lions have been playing really, really good football, and I hope the Lions win. And as such, I'm taking the Lions. I know for our betting situation and me not wanting to buy Dallas Cowboys attire. What's up?
Breaking news: the Dodgers have officially designated Trevor Bauer for assignment, meaning he can sign with any MLB team.
Dave Dombrowski, what you doing, buddy?
Yeah,
get on the phone. For those of you who don't know, that's the general manager for the Philadelphia Phillies. Anyway, but yeah, so like I said, I don't care. The line it's so irritating because of what happens in the Seahawks game, right? Damn it, no, you know it's great. I'm going with the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions.
Make up your damn mind, Jesus.
I'm going to go over the 49 points. Whether they get to the playoffs or not, I don't think they want to have a losing record. And I think that still is sustained, even if they are eliminated from playoffs. Listen, I know you get eliminated, you kind of get down. You're like, well, now this game doesn't really mean anything for us. But I don't think Dan Campbell's going to let that happen. I think he's there to make a statement, regardless of whether they can get into the playoffs or not. And I think he's going to have that team fired up regardless. Also, if they don't make the playoffs, I expect them to really go out and put it all on the line against the Packers here. So give me the Lions and the over. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers here. This is tough because I've touched on it earlier in the show. We had one team trending this way, the other team trending this way. Both teams are going this way, both going up. You're seeing the top 5 defense from the Packers recently, over this 4-game stretch that everybody thought they would be in the beginning of the season. They're finally running the football more, utilizing A.J. Dillon between the tackles, getting Aaron Jones out in space on the edge. They're not asking Aaron Rodgers to do a ton, which is what they were doing in the beginning of the season. Therefore, I think that they have a great game plan in place. I think that they win. I don't think they cover the 5-point spread. I think they win by a field goal here. But I think that they go over that 49-point spread. I expect or 49-point over-under. I expect to shoot out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I think it's going to be a good game. I just wish that both teams would have something to play for at the time that they're playing.
Yeah, again, which is why I'm a little irritated that they flexed the game when they did.
Yeah,
you could have literally flexed any other game, not any other game, but most of the games on this schedule. For instance, you could have had the Eagles game flexed to the night game because the Cowboys would have played earlier. The Eagles would have known if they had to win or not.
But I mean, if the Giants come out and say they're resting their starters, then Sunday night game, you have a team it's a game that's 14-point spread.
I understand. I just don't like that they flexed this game. It didn't make sense to me.
I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. It should have been the Titans and the Jags Sunday night, but that's just me.
All right, that's going to do it for our predictions. You got any closing remarks?
Nope, going to the Bill pen here.
All right. So yeah, thanks for joining us here on BSing Sports, a part of the BSing Network where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Everybody have a good night. Go Birds.